Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to the first of three kind of quick reviews we're going to do here today. Essentially kind of something of a indie roundup that I wanted to do here. Seeing as there's just a whole lot of stuff suddenly popping off in my email box, and you know, I don't like leaving stuff left out. When it comes to any kind of projects, whether they're, indie things, whether they're bigger budget stuff, honestly, for me, the budget and all that other stuff doesn't matter nearly as much as the effort that I see put into something, the sheer amount of heart that was put in there. We've had a few things on the channel that may have seemed kind of odd in terms of like, why on earth are they so gung-ho about these random things? It's because they have that soul, Anyway, so this is going to be the first of three that we're covering here today. So this is one that just got into early access here by the name of GladiEATers. Essentially, in many ways, a realization of something that I wanted to see from the Pokemon series for a while. In essence, what if Monster Sanctuary was edible? Now, let me explain why this matters. Okay, so essentially what we've got here is a situation in which you essentially have something very similar to, again, like a Pokemon-esque, Monster Sanctuary-esque team battle, like Monster Tamer kind of situation, right? However, the twist with this one is that you have to cook your team, as in you actually have to go and make them, and every chef that you have unlocked is essentially going to have their own different styles, their own different recipes that they're working with. Like you got your Aggie over here, who's effectively a farm girl who's trying to save their chicken farm, and so their whole story is essentially just an introduction to their mechanics. They're collecting eggs, they're cooking different types of eggs. You get the hard-boiled ones that effectively just like can self-destruct out of their shell to shrapnelize an entire team, and now they're a soft-boiled egg, and now they can headbutt stuff. Or they've got soft-boiled eggs that are gonna charge up and shoot their yolk out like it's a solar beam. I love that the sunny side up stuff is a solar beam. That's just so good. You got the sort of a professional French lady chef over here. I think they're supposed to be French. I don't know if they ever confirmed that, but very much French energy off this lady. But either way, like the professional chef whose whole story essentially involves them getting more and more pissed off until they eventually just achieve all of life's dreams and are still not happy. But their whole style is a lot more aggressive. Essentially, while Aggie was more about quickly mass producing a lot of different types of eggs for different situations. In her case, it's seemingly a lot more aggressive, going for like very heavy debuffs, area attacks, that sort of thing, with onions and tomatoes all orbiting around. This dude's my favorite, essentially being a guy that it was originally like a 5-star meat chef, and then one day he gets the plot cancer or something, just passes out, and then he has to go achieve his journey of primordial eating, which is just raw food, basically. Dude lives off avocados now. But the teams are so much fun. So here, I had a run that was already going. Effectively, you've got two different modes in this thing so far, where you have the stories, which are fairly standard. But you've got here. Let's go ahead and mash up one of these to show what this looks like. So, depending on your recipes, like at this, sorry, I'm doing the thing where I skip ahead of stuff again. Essentially, you've got two modes on this one. You've got the Coliseum, which is basically like the battle tower from Pokemon, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of this one. And then you've got the stories, which are basically like an introduction to each of the characters, which will take you through a little cute journey of how they got to where they are, and then essentially give you an introduction to what their recipes look like. So, like for example, with this guy, with all of his sort of vegan recipes here. We've essentially got a team that's all about kind of like regeneration and durability, which I really enjoy. I love a good durability build. But when you're putting these together, you have a certain amount of time on the clock. As you're going through the Coliseum, this ends up giving you more and more time, and so like in this case, we wanted to mash this thing up, so we're just going to go ahead and mash it up a little bit. Apparently we're missing some of the bash, and I got to grind it up in order to hopefully get something decent out of it. But every one of these dishes has its own little mini game. Well, apparently that's an S. There we go. So that's a mashed avocado. It's alive now. I don't have the improved version of it. Let's see what else we can potentially do with this team here. Do I want to do anything with this guy? Okay, I haven't unlocked the advanced versions of that or that yet. So we'll just go ahead and go into the fight at this point. So there's several different chefs. As of so far, there's 3 that are playable. There's several more that are in there. So you've got Riku and Kate here, who are basically like a little bakery duo. You've got this guy that's like, I guess, some sort of assassin spy type situation, that's doing all kinds of Japanese dishes. A French lady that does. Maybe she is the French one that does the pastries. In that case, I don't know what Diane's supposed to be. Very angry is what she's supposed to be. But yeah, so essentially each of these are handled in very interesting ways. Honestly, the unit mechanics are really fun in this one, and I think a lot of that just kind of comes down to a seemingly pretty heavy commitment to the food pun, like the food gag. Like, I love how with Loga's story here. It's like they turned guacamole into some Mewtwo level threat. It's amazing. It's just like an avocado pit with tomatoes and onion rings orbiting the thing. It's just glorious, dude. Anyway, so yeah, really fun stuff. Very you can tell they had a lot of fun with this one. But I love how you've got certain mechanics that are very similar to stuff that I would probably expect to see more of out of something like Ethermancer or whatnot, where, like, for example, the little zucchini guys floating around in the center there, a lot of their abilities are based off of how many of them are around, and they. In many ways, that I guess you could say they function a little bit like the Soldier Smoker Battle 64. But yeah, a lot of them are segmented off into pieces so that you can lose pieces of something, several like sandwich-like dishes. Essentially, you have different layers that can be sacrificed to achieve different things. So like in this particular case, I'm not really going to go for any of the sacrifice abilities, but say something like an eggplant. A raw eggplant is very quick to cook up. Like, a lot of these dishes are very quick to put together, but they potentially don't have a whole lot of raw power by themselves. So like, let's say, again, with this, with that eggplant, he's good at creating weaknesses, but also can sacrifice himself to provide a bit of an emergency heal. We've got these avocados over here who shoot out their pits in their raw form. So right here, I can just have 3 of them charging up like artillery, and I should probably mention, by the way, if you see little abilities going off in the background, during the finale of any of the Gladiator tournaments, or the Coliseum tournaments, because they're all using the latent power of the calories in their food, which is just such a... Oh man, I love that as a concept. I kid you not, the premise of this game is just the totally not CIA invented a particle that allows you to turn calories into violence. So yeah, we just got like this whole situation going on where people are actively threatening each other with how good their cooking is, which I guess honestly somehow still makes more sense than half the stuff you saw in Pokemon, but still, whatever. No, they ate my mashed avocado. Jerk. Anywho, so yeah, the music's great, the animations are a ton of fun, the thing's got heart, you know, it's got plenty of heart here. Let's see, debuff. This guy's defense down a little bit more, because currently his defense is officially high. We're probably about to lose it to the bakery duo here, actually. Yeah, some of their abilities are kind of nutty. Like for example, there's one of them that's like the cooked up avocados, and if you cook them up, they lose the ability to fire their projectiles, but they gain the ability to attack twice. However, each of those attacks is a quarter as strong as that cannon shot. The thing that's useful about that is, for example, using the other chef that specializes in multi-hit abilities, where if any of her units are downed, that multiplies the offensive potential of any of their moves, which doesn't matter for some moves, but for any multi-hitters, now suddenly they're hitting pretty preposterous numbers very quickly. So yeah, lots of fun little synergies going on with this one. Clearly, they're still working on some of the balance stuff. Like some of the recipes are. You probably won't ever really bother using them for much. Like a lot of what goes on with the raw egg recipes, as you'd kind of expect, it's a raw egg. Like, there's some that are just downright strange, that their only ability is to self-destruct, but either way, for the most part, this is it's a really fun little kind of creature capture type of thing here. Not to mention, it's currently $12, and again, for the amount of love that you can clearly tell is going on here, you know, it's a good time. So this one's an easy one to recommend. Again, currently on sale. There's multiplayer on it too. I'm hoping to cover that more with my friend later. So hopefully we'll be covering some of that there. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one here, shall we? Okay, I needed to add a little bit of a request to this particular thing, just in case they happen to be looking at it. I would really like to see a soup chef in here, because I saw a bunch of different, different options for the other sort of cooking techniques and whatever else. I didn't see a soup guy in here, specifically because the other day I was just sort of sitting around, it felt like having something with some veg in there. So I was going chopping up my potatoes, chopping up my beets and cucumbers, and throwing together some garlic and some vinegar and some allspice and all that sort of thing. Went and made some homemade borscht, and yeah, that stuff was incredibly filling. Had like three bowls of the stuff. Got super sick as a result of being way too full. But long story short, where are the dang soup chefs? Because they're all very physical, which I guess, technically speaking, maybe there is kind of sort of something soup related. Because like Egg Lady over here, you got various different versions of what you can do with eggs, and make them into various different types of scrambles and omelets and things. You got this lady over here with all of her options. But again, even with all of these different options, which by the way, I want to point out I think this is like a seared onion ring or something like that. This thing is nightmare. This thing is nightmare fuel. You know how you had like in Pokemon Silver, you had the mill tank? That's this guy right here. It's the damn onion ring. just a heads up. You see an onion ring, priority target immediately. Anyway, but yeah, no soup chefs. Where's the dang soup, guys? Come on now. Get on that. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so next one on the pile here is going to be Together in Battle. Now, for anyone that's potentially missed out on this one, this is one that I would really strongly recommend giving a look at some point. It's definitely a little bit of an odd duck. It's a very unique experience. Effectively, what would happen if you combine together something like for lack of a better comparison, if you combine together like Fire Emblem and Persona or something, it's a lot more than that, to be honest. And it's one of these ones that can easily be thrown into that pile of, oh man, I don't know, the visuals aren't for me, I just can't, dude. Stop. Take that little princess tiara, put it down over there, and get your precious butt over to trying some of these weird indies sometime. You are missing out if you haven't tried stuff like this. But that's the thing. A lot of these indies have a lot of heart, and this is one of them, okay? Visually speaking, bit of an odd duck. But it's cool in that all of the kind of relationships and world building and whatever else between your units is dynamic. So essentially every playthrough is going to be different based off of the party that you went and put together, the people you ran into along the way, and there's different ways for the various events throughout the story to play out. I mean, I would say story-wise, I don't know how many branches there are in total, but the way that it sort of plays out, where it's vaguely similar, but you may go out on different routes, is a little bit more kind of Legend of Mana-y to me, but yeah, as far as the dynamics between your different characters, you can have cases where people's kind of background hobbies and professions come into play. Somebody might potentially have been in a situation where, let's say you forgot to go stock up on healing items or energy items or something like that, and they're a chef. They happen to have put some of that stuff together in the background. Oh, low on money, a toy maker might have dealt with some of that. There might be an event, where that toy making might have potentially solved an issue somewhere else. Maybe you have somebody that's a dancer, so they're able to, in the middle of a fight, use their dance moves to swap positions with somebody else, or somebody that is like a born leader would be able to inspire somebody to take another turn. So you have that layered on top of different perks they're collecting along the way, different training that they can enlist in, different training manuals, different relationships that they're sharing between different units teaching each other different techniques and stuff. And so you have these kind of cool moments that I oftentimes praise Tactics Ogre for, where you have somebody who, let's say, just has this thing that they learned and they trained it to somebody else, and then the first guy died in some dramatic fashion, so they're just carrying forward these tricks that they learned along the way. And yeah, all of your characters can die depending on the difficulty. You may have a chance to save them, or they might just be dead on the spot. Got a lot of customization options, again, very similar to Felsteel in that particular way. Are the animations a bit more limited than some? Yeah, sure, absolutely, but the amount of field mechanics, the character interaction mechanics, it's really something else. Anyway, though, it ended up getting a pretty huge update. Now, I specifically went out of my way to not read this thing, but just so you know, if you do want to try it and you don't have the spare funds to go throw at it, dude, I get it. We are all struggling. You have to do extra deliveries to be able to afford the gas to make the damn deliveries. It's one hell of a time right now. But yeah, no, there's a demo for this one, and I should probably also point out for anyone that's looking for that, you know, that wants that the bang for their buck and whatever else going forward. It's weird that even that feels annoying to say because that one commercial that's around, but now it's stuck in my head and I can't stop saying whatever. Besides the point. But there's mods for this. There's like entire manuals that he's put together for how to mod this thing and whatever else. So if you wanted custom campaigns and stuff, that stuff's out there. But let's go ahead and read over this update real quick. Alright, so it says, "Greetings Tactics fans, it may be hard to believe, but I launched Together in Battle in version 1.0 exactly 1 year ago. To celebrate the game's 1 year anniversary outside of early access, I put together a little Laurels trailer, cramming together some of my favorite clips from reviews so far. These are obviously edited to keep it under 5 minutes. Make sure to watch the full review. They're great. I meant to take a look at this. I will later. I was told that I'm in there, apparently. Okay, in the month since, I pushed regular free updates with balance improvements, loads of UI improvements, AI improvements, new save game logic, new plus, multiplayer arena, new items, new promotions, a new item type. By the way, I forgot to mention earlier, yeah, when it comes to your different character options, if, let's say, you have an engineer that trained how to use, let's say, explosive satchels to go blow their way past bits of terrain or what have you, and still potentially just have somebody keeping one of those on their belt, but they don't exactly know how to make another one, so it ends up being a one-time use thing, or like using nets to trap people, or using ghosts and their ability to go through stuff to essentially bypass areas of certain maps to attack them from multiple directions. Dude, have tactical options. This game is ass. Anyway, yeah, seriously, like, as far as stuff that is awesome to have a Steam Deck for, this indie scene. Anyway, so yeah, let's see. New dialogue, expanded character portrait options, custom character sharing, custom campaign editors, and of course, 1 gazillion bug fixes. Yes, I remember the controller stopped existing bugs very prominently. And by the way, for anyone wondering on the custom character portrait options, that does include a Final Fantasy Tactics option to remove anybody knows if you feel it. It specifically feels good to sit back and see how far the game has come, but I'm not done yet. I will a contest, specifically a custom character showcase. Ooh, nifty. For the rest of the month, I'm running a custom character showcase event. The way it works is simple. Between now and the 6th, export a character you created into Battle's custom character creator, copy the text, that whole thing, paste that into a thread with your character's name, and that's all you have to do. First week of June, I'll select the most clever, creative, interesting, and missions, and showcase them in a video. Here are a few things that will make me more likely to showcase your character. Game, the character was created using the custom character creator. Usability, the character's class, traits, and growths feasibly work together. They're not a golem with all their points into psi, a shadowling with all their points into strength, etc. Writing, you took the time to write custom dialogue for your character. Forgot about that. Yeah, you can write full custom dialogue for every fucking thing, dude. Cohesiveness, your character's name, traits, portraits, growths, and dialogue all present a coherent picture of who they are as a person. Depth, your character has more to them than a single gag or personality trait. Taste, your character isn't wildly out of place in the game's world, or if they are, they at least have some dialogue addressing it. If you submit Isekai Guy Fieri, for instance, I want to hear his backstory about what brought him so far away from Flavortown. Well, clearly the man just wants to hand out cakes. He saw that everybody was low on energy after working in the docks all day. Let's see, there's no limit to how many characters you can submit, so feel free to post as many as you like. I'm excited to see you create. Which, by the way, on that custom character note, like, my first playthrough on this thing was an Iron Man run, and so I had, like, Alphonse from Knight of Lotus, and I had a few of the characters thrown in from Resident Evil Outbreak, and there was just, like, this bromance between David, he's the plumber from Outbreak, who was basically maintaining everybody's weapons, because having somebody as a repairman also causes them to just basically go full antisocial and start fixing everybody's stuff. And then you got Alphonse over there, who, if you've ever played Knight of Lotus, the dude constantly falls into the ocean and can't swim, and you can actually add that as a character trait, that they drown more easily. Oh man, anyway, sorry, getting off track, we're never going to get through this. Let's see, now how about a free anniversary update? That's right, another free update too. As replayable and packed variety as Together in Battle already is, I figure I could do a bit more to cement its place in the pantheon of SRPGs you can always keep coming back to. This update has some meat to it, so I'm changing the number up from 1.1.01 to 1.1.10. It moved over slightly. We'll start with the biggest new change. New level up mechanic for roguelike mode. Choose advancements. As of this moment, when you start a new game in roguelike mode, any time a character levels up is due to gain a skill, equipment mastery, or stat proficiency. Instead of the game having them just learn that thing, you now get to pick one of three. Okay. Truth be told, I've long disliked how pick one of these three things over and over has become signed shorthand for roguelike, but I have to admit this does help with TIB's own roguelike mode to feel a bit more of a distinct experience from manual save mode, as opposed to being essentially base game but more punishing. It does come at the cost of erasing part of the natural variation between characters, so you can choose to simply have all characters of the class learn the same skills, but all in all, I think it's a plus. Note, unless you vibe with the trial and error mindset of more traditional roguelikes, I still recommend beating the game in manual save game first. Roguelike mode is no joke. And yeah, I had some friggin' stories. Like, one of the memorable ones from the first one was like this sort of relationship that started up between the best fencer lady on the team and this one healer, and long story short, she gets injured, he goes off, and ends up thinking that she's gone for good. Like, she gets injured, then she goes off on this journey to go sort out some family problems. She's given some sick leave. He figures she's never coming back and ends up starting another fling with somebody else. That somebody else ends up starting a rumor that the two of them are, like, a thing now, which ends up starting to make them a thing until she dramatically, I think like she got impaled on a fence post or something, and then he gets all depressed. Original lady comes back. He then gets thrown into lava or something, so she immediately shows up with her fancy new, like, family sword or whatever, immediately gets depressed, refuses to go on fights. She's like, yeah, no, this isn't for me anymore, and just up and leaves. So ended up losing three of the best characters on the team to this relationship drama. It was great. Anyway, let's see. It does come... hold on. Let's see. Because of the new choose advancement level up logic, when you choose to play in mode, the game no longer adds the skill advice camp events to the random events deck. UI improvements. Building upon the last update's flashing damage preview, whenever an attack or counter-attack can deal damage to bring its target to 0. Heart symbol next to the health preview bar is now replaced with a skull. Sweet. For example, is the game warning us that attacking the spearman with a blast would end quite badly? Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, they would just get one shot. That is a good bit of information to know. Alright, a new arena condition. Miasma creep. If this condition appears, Sky Kineticists will track your character throughout the arena and create corrosive pools of plasma on one or more of the spaces they occupied 2 rounds prior. This forces you to plan your route around the battlefield and stay on the move. Okay, that's neat. In case you missed the update where miasma pools were introduced, these deal 9 shatter damage and have a chance to inflict status effects, impose decreased dodge into physical defenses, and definitely are not ideal stand-ins. And they're basically poison plus fear if you're on the tactics side of things. This arena condition can occur starting in Monkey League and become severe in its implementation. There's a new special encounter that can ramp depths of the explorable caverns. I could say more, but it's best to leave it as a fun surprise. I'm wondering if this'll... I'm still waiting for something to top the frickin' scarab from Kingsbane. Oh, here's our happy little game about claymation people. Guess what? Friggin', like, nightmare spider. Anyway, let's see. New skill. Sky Kineticists can now learn create Plasma Pool. New skill. Axe Fighters can now learn Throw Axe 2. Apparently flings a throwing axe with much better accuracy. A small buff to the Marauder class. They can now counterattack with throwing axes in addition to their other improvements. New rare item. Training Vouchers. Training Vouchers can be presented to the trainer for a single free training of choice. Now, it works with paradigm training, i.e. multi-classing, not just stat training. Urge more use of the trainer, which is fair. It's like, I didn't even get into this mechanic, but yeah, you can put people through different training to allow them to multi-class and stuff like that, but due to the fact that you're always kind of trying to make the most use of your time, training one guy as opposed to improving everybody's situation financially, oftentimes, a little bit of a thing there. So hopefully that helps. Anyway, let's see. In both the Galarial League Qualifier and the Blacksmith Rescue Mission, now carry a training voucher that will drop when defeated. Okay. Let's see, the character in the Recruitment Duel of Random Event now carries a training voucher, the reward for saving 3 travelers. Okay, so this is going to be like a bonus objective throughout the game. Stuff. UI improvement. The game now accommodates long custom character dialogue when a character is too long to fit in the box, it'll automatically detect this, so rather than advancing to the next dialogue branch, clicking on the dialogue box instead advances to the next. Okay. In short, your characters from far off, undiscovered lands can now tell their complicated backstories at the length that such unusual circumstances require. Alright, achievement added, Superlative Sleuth. To get this one, you must gather every relevant piece of evidence and present the strongest possible case against the character behind the conspiracy within a single playthrough. Haven't seen any streamer review do this just yet, so it's open season. I feel like I came close in my first playthrough, but dang it, that freaking rescue mission, like, went in way too overconfident on that one and just got, like, friggin' demolished. That one actually ended up reaching the time limit. That some maps do actually have an eventual time limit where they're like, yeah, if you haven't beaten it yet, you're not beating it. Goodbye. Alright, let's see. New camp activity. Haunt. What is it, you ask? Let's see if you can discover for yourself. Fair enough. Game now supports camp activities that can only occur between characters who have a specific special relationship label, i.e. not that kind that occurs through growing familiarity or change friendship and values. UI improvement for gamepads. Implemented the new 2D grid menu navigation logic for character inventories within reserve supply screen. Fixed situations with arbitrary 2D gamepad element navigation logic failed in submenu. And reworked the pixel art of the day log so that it appears on the calendar screen. Not a big deal, just looks nicer now. I just think they're neat. They had on the thing here. I don't think of it. Is this even playing the video still? Yes. Okay, good. Okay. So let's see, moddable mini campaign got added, multiplayer balance tweaks got added, a bunch of various fixes over here, new improvements with, okay, there's a bunch of like oddly specific modding stuff. And then finally, what's next? I believe I've settled on the concept for my next game. I've even begun writing out the design document for it. I'd love to tell you what it is, or that it's going to be ready in a year or something like that, but let's be real, I like to take my time. I've never been a pump out a game every 1 or 2 years kind of developer. Much to the chagrin of my bank account. Maybe I'll be, maybe I will learn to be less fastidious at some point. While I work through the perfectionism therapy, why not try another together in battle? And yes, absolutely. By the way, at this point, given the utter jank of this particular recording and the fact that it's seen multiple updates since that last time, I'm kind of starting new at some point. If life would stop getting interesting, that would be fantastic. It's just, there's always something fun happening. But yeah, no, you definitely should give this a little bit of a look. And now, before this one ends up getting too long, let's go ahead and move. All right, hopefully the audio is working okay on this one now. So this is okay. So this is Reptilian Rising. It's one that I did a first impressions on just a little bit ago. It's one that is okay. It's one in this pile where it's like there's a lot of stuff here that I really like aesthetically. The ideas they were going for, like the music in it, all that sort of thing. And then there's the Korax. So we're gonna get into this real quick, but basically the idea here is that it's more or less an 80s board game kind of vibe to this one. You're playing on a tabletop setup with a bunch of figurines and stuff like that, with the idea being that it's this like board game campaign of time traveling dinosaurs that took over the world and whatever. Okay. Funny enough concept, neat little stuff here. Overall, the game feels like if somebody had ever made a sequel to Gain Ground from the Genesis. Basically, same thing I said in the initial review there, or the initial first impressions, I should say. Now, here's the thing, though. The ideas of this one, I love the 80s aesthetic. I love a lot of 80s stuff, and I especially love anything with a board game aesthetic. Okay, it's something that always screams to me because, way back when, I'm sure many others potentially have had that same kind of experience growing up of like, well, you got 10 different board games all missing pieces, so it's time to make your own. And that's more or less the vibe that they were going for with this one. I will say though, the quirks though, that's kind of where we're gonna have a little bit of a question here. So, as far as this game is concerned, effectively the way that it works is that your goal in every one of these situations here is that you are trying to essentially get these little gates right. You gotta control a certain amount of them every time you're playing through, and as you're playing through, your characters are getting little improvements between your campaigns, because it's not really, honestly, it's more campaigns in the sort of tabletop sense, where if you lose a campaign, you go back to where you were before, but you can retain some stuff to do upgrades as if it was a roguelite. But effectively, when it comes to the long-term stuff of your characters, like getting some of their permanent upgrades and stuff, say right over here, this whole thing of doing more damage to bosses and stuff. Some things it will potentially stay in the long run, but you still have sort of campaigns to run through. So yeah, as far as its actual gameplay and stuff goes, this is reasonably solid. You know, relatively simple. You're essentially just trying to claim these. These things take 2 actions to claim, or 1 if you're using Hacker Lady over here to just hack through the thing and get it in 1 turn. Every time you do one of those, these little red coins flip over, and then you start getting reinforcements coming in, and then you've got little collectibles all over the map if you have the ability to go get them. Now, here's the thing. When I'm talking about the quirks for this one, the thing is, it needs some optimization help, I will say that. Like, by default, I was really hoping by the time that it got to this point that it wouldn't absolutely chug like a mofo all the time. If you have anti-aliasing on, like, we're just gonna go ahead and set this to, like, if you have the anti-aliasing on, especially on a Steam Deck. Wow, that became tiny. Hold up. Yeah, the resolution randomly likes to change on you too. I'm not sure what that's about. It has done that multiple times. I have no idea. Like the most recent time, it switched to the tiniest, like, friggin' Game Boy resolution, and did this while it was on the Steam Deck itself, and mostly what it did was just crunch down the text and make it unreadable, which again, early access stuff's gonna jank. But yeah, no, it as of the moment, it does not like the Steam Deck very much, so your mileage may vary on this one. But it is currently a little on the rough side there. So there's that. I kind of wish there was a slider to turn down the voice things, because these guys are very chatty, which is funny the first few times, and then they just sort of keep doing it. So appreciate the Monty Python energy from the night, but I could maybe do without him saying the same line 4 turns in a row. But either way, early access stuff, I'm sure it'll get improved over time. The general ideas in this one are fun. I hope that that the eventually more polished version looks, well, not necessarily looks. Honestly, I don't really care much about looks, and I love the sort of like board game aesthetics going on here. But I hope it runs a lot smoother. Honestly, that's the big one for me. Like, just this chuggy frame rate, even with stuff turned, just it bugs me more than it should. Like, I've meant to go past at least get to the second chapter of this thing before doing this review. Have not had the time to. It's actually surprisingly difficult for what it's worth. So for anyone that's looking for a bit more of a challenge there, so it is decently challenging on some of the bigger fights, but like, but yeah, the chuggy frame rate really gets me sometimes. Anyway, so, but yeah, so I would expect that this one's probably going to see a good bit of polish for when it's going through its whole process here. I'm really looking forward to see where it goes here. The designs that they went with for a lot of the characters here is pretty darn fun. So what you have is sort of alternate version, like alternate universe versions of characters throughout history for the most part for all team here. It's like when you go into a different map, you'll have somebody that you can go higher. So you've got like Albert Einstein with a death ray, or you've got like a FDR showing up in a machine gun wheelchair, or like a friggin' Caesar showing up with the ability to put down scorpions and whatever else. It's, you know, it's cool. It's got a lot of fun energy to it. I just, again, really wish that it's smoother, because it feels rough. Is the thing there. Right ideas, feels rough. That's probably the best way I'd put it, which, compared with the other stuff we've seen today, is, again, one that kind of hurts a bit, because, like, at the same time with all this other roughness, it's also twice as much as, you know, something like Exoga right now, so it is a little bit of a buy-in cost. I mean, the way that that it's set up, I kind of feel like it's probably... It feels like something that was like a publisher mandate or something, that they had to put it for a particular price, because it, like, when it comes to strategy fans in general, they tend to be fairly stingy. So either way, again, love the ideas, love the aesthetic, hope it runs smoother, hope that the price is not $30 when it is. I hope they reconsider that one. They want more people in this thing, you know, a little bit more approachable of a price, especially when everybody's really going through right now, would be quite nice. So yeah, that's gonna be about... God, Charles de Gaulle, sure. Yeah, so each of them will have different kind of different abilities, by the way, as you would kind of expect. Slady's poison bow, he's got some piercing shots. Then you got Charles, who's just more the raw power output. And I love that, by the way, that they show up, they get unpacked from their, you know, old action figure boxes and stuff. Aesthetically, it's so neat. Please have a more consistent frame rate, I beg you. Okay. Anyway, so that is going to be more or less about that. I personally really enjoy it. I also got it for free, so there's that. So thank you once again to all the developers involved with stuff from this video here. 2 out of 3 I did end up getting codes for, so thank you to them for that. And yeah, so that'll be about that then. So, oh shoot, we're doing this again. Yeah, I had something like this earlier during one of the fights where I tried to click a thing and then the attack option disappeared, and then for some reason it janked out and it removed all my options and it just forgot what resolution it was on, and then I couldn't read it, and then I couldn't find the menu while on handheld mode in order to change the resolution back. Anyway, yeah, it's getting there. It's gonna need a little bit of polish still. All right, anyway, so yeah, that's gonna be about that. So y'all have yourselves a good one. Thank you for sticking around with this kind of scattershot thing here today, and see y'all next one. I guess actually one last thing I should probably mention. Yeah, part of the reason I've had so many difficulties recording this thing is for some reason when I exit out of the main game window, it's like the rest of the resources on the Steam Deck have been vaporized, and it just can't even fathom the idea of switching windows anymore. I don't know why. It's strange like that. All right, anyways, have yourselves a good one. Take care, and yeah, give things a bit of a try.